This is your USMNT Abroad midweek update from November 22nd to November 25th of 2021. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical TV. And I know we have a different setup here while I'm recovering from knee surgery, so bear with me. I'm going to go back to my original setup with the beautiful white wall returning. Now, if you're new to the series, this is our series where we update you every Friday on how Americans performed abroad midweek. So essentially this week, most of it is Champions League. And on every Monday, we update you on how Americans performed abroad over the weekend. So if you enjoy this type of content, please consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and the notification bell. With that said, along with the performance updates on the Americans, we will also be going through the group stages, and I'll be letting you know who went through and the situation with the Champions League, as there's only one round left. With that said, everyone, let's dive into it and start with the transfer updates. So let's play the intro and let's start the Americans abroad. Before we start with the performance updates, let's talk about Jordi Mihailovic, as he's currently going to go right after Thanksgiving for a trial at Bologna at the Serie A mid-table club. So the transfer could happen. It's a trial. We'll see how it does. We'll keep you guys updated. So now let's go to the most important part of the video. Let's go to the performance updates on the Champions League players. All right, now we're off to the performance updates, and let's start with Christian Pulisic and Weston Mckennie, as they did face each other this week. On Tuesday, Pulisic started and played 72 minutes for Chelsea, while Weston Mckennie started as well for Juve and played a full 90 minutes. Now, this game was all Chelsea. Chelsea got a 4-0 win at Stamford Bridge, complete domination, but that doesn't mean Weston played better than Pulisic. Let's talk about their performances. Regardless of the 4-0 win, personally, I thought Weston Mckennie did better than Pulisic from an individual performance standpoint. So let's talk about that. Weston Mckennie played as a right midfielder in a 4-4-2 formation. He linked up pretty well with Juan Cuadrado throughout this match. He was a dog on defense, amazing with great recoveries, key interceptions, and in the 82nd minute, he almost scored a golazo off the lefty shot. Now, the only issue was he did make a mistake that led to the fourth goal of Chelsea, where he should have been able to cut the ball in the last minute of the match, which led to the cross that was assisted for the goal of Timo Werner. So yeah, the fourth goal of Chelsea was a lot on Weston, to be fair. It wasn't only Weston, but it was mostly on him. But at that point, the game was over. It was already 3-0 with less than a minute left. In my personal opinion, Weston was the best performing player for Juve in this match, which the standards were pretty low considering Juventus didn't have the best of games. Now, Christian Pulisic in this match, he played again as a center forward. And I know people are calling it a false nine, but it didn't really look like a false nine to me role. He was just looking like a advanced forward, to be honest, just a center forward. He wasn't really pinching back to play make. It just looked like a straight up center forward. Now, I don't think his performance was that good. The hold-up game wasn't good. The aerial duels, yes, he did win all of them, where I believe he lost one at most, but it led to nothing. Juve's backline was also very deep, so he was not able to get a ball in a position that he was able to go at the defender with speed, which is honestly what Pulisic is at his best. Not a center forward, in my opinion. Now, in terms of stats, Weston Mckennie had 63 touches, 88% passing accuracy, won 5 out of 11 ground duels, 2 out of 2 aerial duels, had 2 clearances, 4 interceptions, 4 tackles, and 1 error that led to a goal. Now, Pulisic, he was heavily marked and he only had 20 touches, won 1 out of 3 ground duels, 2 out of 2 aerial duels, which is a surprise, but not much more. He wasn't very active, and honestly, Juventus just took him out of the game tactically. All right, so quick update on Gio Reyna. Gio Reyna is still recovering from injury, as we've been reporting every week, but unfortunately, Borussia Dortmund is now eliminated in the group stage of the Champions League. I'm going to go through the groups and we'll address that very soon. Just something I had to address on his section. Now let's talk about Serginho Dest from Barcelona. On Tuesday, Dest started off on the bench for Barcelona during their 0-0 draw with Benfica at Camp Nou. Now, if you ask me, this was a very, very lucky draw from Barcelona, as Benfica should have won this with a late goal. I just don't know how you missed that opportunity at the end. If you watch the game, you most certainly know what I'm talking about. Now, Dest for this one came in at the 86th minute. There's not much to talk about in regards to his performance. I'm just happy he is back from injury. It'll be interesting how to see how Xavi will essentially use a fully fit Dest in the future. Will he be a winger, a wingback, a fullback? We'll know very soon. Now, an update on Jesse Marsch and Tyler Adams, essentially RB Leipzig, that's what I'm saying. So for this midweek Champions League match, RB Leipzig got an important 5-0 win against Club Brugge, a huge step to make it to the Europa League as they're already eliminated in the Champions League. We'll address that in the group stage review very, very soon in this video. Jesse Marsch was not with the team as he's currently recovering from COVID. Let's hope he recovers as soon as possible. And Tyler Adams was suspended due to yellow card accumulation. Now, Zach Steffen from Manchester City, well, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Manchester City. However, there's good news. Manchester City is already qualified with the 1 game left in the Champions League group stage, and they already guaranteed the first place, which means Zach Steffen will likely start their last match of the group stage against RB Leipzig. It'll be an exciting game as we're probably going to get to watch Steffen versus Tyler Adams. All right, now John Brooks from Wolfsburg, but before we start, Brooks, make sure to hit the like button. Truly appreciate it. It helps the channel, and sorry if the energy is a little bit lower than normal. I am recovering from surgery, but I'll be good very soon. Now let's go to John Brooks from Wolfsburg. On Tuesday, Brooks started and played 88 minutes for Wolfsburg during their 2-0 loss to Sevilla, which puts Wolfsburg in a tough situation for the last round of the group stage. He did make a poor pass on the 60th minute that led to a very dangerous opportunity for Sevilla, but it didn't end on a goal. He was not to blame for the first goal in this match, and he wasn't in the field anymore for the late second goal. It's most certainly not as good of a performance as he had over the weekend. He had a monster performance over the weekend. This was not as good, to say the least. Brooks had only 49 touches, which is less than half of what he had over the weekend. 78% passing accuracy, which is also much lower. He had surprisingly no ground duels, but he did win 3 out of 3 aerial duels for this match. Now we're off to Brenden Aaronson and Timothy Weah, as they did face each other on a matchup against Lille versus RB Salzburg. On Tuesday, Brenden started and played 85 minutes for RB Salzburg, while Timothy Weah also started and played 84 minutes for Lille, which ended up 1-0 for Lille with a goal scored by you-know-who. Yes, Jonathan David. It's always him. The Canadian's just on fire lately, and the Canadian fans are getting a little arrogant with it. Weah looked a lot sharper than over the weekend, created a good chance for David at the first half off a low cross. He did okay, better than over the weekend. He looked a lot sharper than over the weekend when he had tired legs, in my opinion. And it was quite impressive that he went a full 90 once again. And yeah, he played actually less than 90, right? 84, 85 minutes, but he pretty much went the full 90. And for this match, he played again at the right flank. So as a right midfielder / right winger, more of a right winger in my opinion. Now, Brenden Aaronson had a surprisingly quiet game, which is unfortunate considering an AC Milan scout was at the match to watch him and Renato Sanchez from Lille. Quick update on Owen Tassawi. It seemed like he was going to be at the bench for Club Brugge. He was on the game day roster, but he didn't. There were reports that he didn't make the bench. It was confusing regardless. Otasawi got no minutes for Club Brugge at their 5-0 loss to RB Leipzig, as I mentioned earlier in the video. Now, Malik Tillman from Bayern Munich. On Tuesday, Malik Tillman made his Champions League debut for Bayern. Tillman started off on the bench and came in at the 85th minute during Bayern's 2-1 victory over Dynamo Kiev. Now, let's talk about Pefok. On Tuesday, Pefok started and played a full 90 minutes for BSC Young Boys during their 3-3 draw with Atalanta. Pefok scored their first goal off a nice header off a corner. He had 35 touches for this match, 71% passing accuracy, won 4 out of 8 ground duels, and won 3 out of 6 aerial duels, along with their first goal in this match. All right, that does it for the performance updates of the Champions League. Now let's go through the groups and go through who went through, and there's only one round left, so there's a lot of teams that are already qualified at this point. But before I go through the groups, there's one thing I want to point out about Christian Pulisic, and just to make this clear, I'm not opposed to him playing as a false nine or center forward. I think he can do it. He's a high-quality player, and he's versatile top. He can play on the right wing, he can play as a 10, left wing, and a center forward. I just personally don't think him as a center forward false nine is using him to the best of his ability. Regardless, I'm happy he got the start at the 70 minutes. Now, with that said, let's go through the groups real quick and just see what the situation is like in the Champions League now that there's only one round left. So for Group A, Manchester City has locked in the first position with 12 points. PSG has locked in the second position with 8. RB Leipzig, as of now, is in third and will go to the Europa League. However, they still have to finish ahead of Club Brugge. For that, they need to have a better result. RB Leipzig will be facing Manchester City in the last round. And what I'm looking for in that match, 1, is for RB Leipzig to hold on to the third seed. And 2, Zach Steffen will likely get a start for Manchester City. Now for Group B, no Americans to talk about right there. Liverpool led the way. They won every single match and have 15 points. Porto's in second with 5. AC Milan is in third with 4. And Atletico Madrid has only 4 points in last place of the group. However, AC Milan will be facing Liverpool that really has nothing to fight for. So we could see AC Milan advance. Regardless, this was a very tough group. And I'm going to be interested to see who goes through in second place. But for Group B, I'm just a spectator. No Americans or teams that I care enough about. So with that said, let's go to Group C. Alright, now for Group C, what you got to keep in mind is this. The criteria to determine who's ahead of who, if the points are tied, is the head-to-head record. So it's essentially when the two teams faced each other. And for that reason, Borussia Dortmund is eliminated of the Champions League. So for Group C, Ajax leads the way with 15 points in 5 matches. They won every single match and were completely dominant in the group. A very enjoyable team to watch, by the way. Now in second place, we have the Portuguese champion Sporting with 9 points. Third place, Borussia Dortmund, also locked in third place. And last place, Besiktas. Now Borussia Dortmund could win and Sporting could lose. But with that said, it's still not enough because they're down on the head-to-head record. So Borussia Dortmund will play the Europa League this season. Now Group D, it's another group that doesn't really have Americans, but let's just go through it real quick. So Group D has Real Madrid in first, Inter Milan in second, Sheriff in third, and Shakhtar Donetsk in fourth. And Sheriff will play the Europa League, so it is quite impressive, even though Sheriff at one point did seem like they were going to go through the group stage in the Champions League. Real Madrid and Inter Milan will face each other in the last round of Group D, and that will determine who is first. The game will be played in Spain, in Madrid, and a draw would get Real Madrid to get the first seed. Inter Milan would have to win if they want to get the first place. So, with that said, let's go to Group E. Now, Group E does have Americans. If we go to Bayern Munich has Taylor Booth, even though he's playing for the B team. Malik Tillman, that had his Champions League debut. And then you got Barcelona, that has Serginho Dest and I guess possibly Pulisic. They're saying there's rumors. I don't really believe it. Maybe we should make a video about that. Comment down below if you guys want us to make a video about Pulisic's transfer rumors and whether or not we think he'll leave Chelsea. So let's talk about Group E. For Group E, we have Bayern Munich dominant as always, winning all 5 matches with 15 points in 5 games. In second place, you have Barcelona with 7 points. Third place, you got Benfica with 5. In last, Dynamo Kiev in 4th, and they won't catch up to Benfica. So essentially, Benfica and Barcelona in the last round will be fighting for that second spot. Now, Barcelona does face Bayern, and I don't know how seriously Bayern's going to take this game. So Barcelona could pull a win against Bayern and qualify in second. If they don't qualify and Benfica goes through, then Barcelona will have to play the Europa League this season, which not good for them. Not good at all. But we'll keep a close eye on it. They play in 2 weeks. All right, let's go through Group F real quickly, which my beloved Manchester United went through. And Pefok's in that group as well, but I don't think Young Boys will get any better seeding than 4th in that group. So Group F has Manchester United in first and already qualified with 10 points. Villarreal in second with 7 points. Atalanta in third with 6 points. And Young Boys with 4 points with 1 game left. I personally think Young Boys will finish in 4th. They play against Manchester United in the last round. And even though they defeated Manchester United in the first game, I think this time Manchester United will take the win and Young Boys will likely finish in 4th. Now let's talk about one of the most exciting groups, most balanced groups, Group G, and it's also full of Americans. So let's talk about that group now. So Group G is very exciting, and here's what I talked about Wolfsburg being in a tough situation. So Group G has Lille in first place with 8 points, Salzburg, RB Salzburg from Brenden Aaronson in second with 7, and Lille with Timothy Weah and Jonathan David, the Canadian as well. Sevilla in third with 6 points, and Wolfsburg in 4th with 5. So essentially the point differential between 4th and 1st is a total of 3. Wolfsburg will be facing Lille in the last match, which if they win, they should be ahead of Lille just by the head-to-head record. And Sevilla will be facing RB Salzburg. Wolfsburg plays at home, and Salzburg will play at home versus Sevilla. Interesting group that I'll be keeping an eye on. I'm hoping the Americans go through in everything. So essentially 2 Americans advance in the Champions League and 1 American goes to the Europa League. So I'm just cheering for Sevilla to finish in 4th. That's all it is. Last but not least, Group H. That is pretty much set in my opinion, and it has Pulisic and Weston Mckennie. Group H has Chelsea leading the group with 12 points, also tied with Juventus with 12 points in second. However, Chelsea obviously leads the head-to-head record between these 2 teams. In third place, you got Zenit from Russia with 4 points, and last but not least, Malmo in 4th. Now, this group, I think it's going to finish essentially the way it is right now, with Chelsea in first, Juve in second, and Zenit in third. All right, everyone, that does it for the Champions League section. Now let's go to the performance updates on the Europa League players. So moving forward in the video, now let's go to the Europa League games, and let's start with Mark McKenzie from Genk. On Thursday, Mckennie started and played a full 90 minutes for Genk during their 1-1 away draw with Dinamo Zagreb. Now, it wasn't a good performance from Mark in my opinion, especially the first half. The second half wasn't bad. We're going to talk about that very soon. He does have some blame on the first goal of the match, which was the goal from Dinamo Zagreb. The defensive line did not seem very well positioned during the play. He was part of the problem, and the recovery was just not good enough. There was a similar moment before that goal around the 16-minute mark, and it was very similar. It was just poor positioning from Genk's back line, and it almost led to a goal, and Mark Mckennie was involved as well. Essentially, the problem seemed to be when the forwards from Dinamo would make diagonal runs starting through the half spaces, essentially between the fullbacks and the center backs. It seemed like Genk was struggling with that, and Mark Mckennie was one of the guys struggling throughout the first half. Now, for Genk's goal, Mckennie did get the assist as he was responsible for the deflection off a corner that ended up on the goal. Mark's second half was much better than the first, and that goes for the entire Genk backline. Actually, to be fair, his second half was pretty good, but the first half just was not, despite the assist. Mark Mckennie had 3 clearances, 1 block shot, 3 interceptions, 2 tackles, 83 touches, and 88% passing accuracy for this match. Now, Genk is in 3rd place and could still get 2nd and advance to the last round as long as they beat Rapid Wien in the last round and Dinamo Zagreb lose their match. Now, CCV from Celtic, or Cameron Carter-Vickers. On Thursday, CCV started and played a full 90 minutes, got a yellow card during Celtic's 3-2 loss to Bayer Leverkusen at Germany. Celtic are 3rd in the group and eliminated from the Europa League as they cannot reach out Real Betis, which is currently in 2nd place in their group. Now, Sam Vines from Antwerp. On Thursday, Vines started and played a full 90 minutes for Antwerp during their 2-2 away draw with Eintracht Frankfurt. Antwerp are in last place in the group and they are also eliminated from the Europa League. Moving on in the video, now we're going to go to DeAndre Yedlin and Conrad de la Fuente. And yes, they did face each other as Olympique Marseille took on Galatasaray. On Thursday, Yedlin started and went the full 90 for Galatasaray while Conrad de la Fuente came off the bench at the 63rd minute for Olympique Marseille. For this one, Galatasaray got the best out of it with a 4-2 victory. It's important to say that Conrad was the only player to come off the bench for Marseille, and when he came in, it was already 2-0 for Galatasaray. Now, Conrad got the assist for Marseille at their second goal, and during the play, he showed all his ability to get out of tight spaces. Along with that, he also showed his ability to beat defenders on one-on-one situations. It was a nice cross with a slight deflection to assist Malik. During the 90 minutes, Yedlin had 45 touches, 87.5% passing accuracy, 1 key pass, won 4 out of 9 ground duels, and lost 1 of his 1 aerial duel. Conrad de la Fuente did not have many minutes, so there's not much to talk about in regards to his stats. Now, Galatasaray will advance in the Europa League, while Olympique Marseille are now out. So Conrad de la Fuente is out from the international competitions, which could be a blessing on disguise, as I think they should focus on Ligue 1 to play the UEFA Champions League next season. We'll see. We'll find out very soon how the Sampaoli boys will do. Now, the last player that we want to talk about here for the Europa League is Christian Kapis from Brøndby. On Thursday, Kapis came off the bench for Brøndby at the 75th minute during their 3-1 loss to Lyon at home. Brøndby is also eliminated from the Europa League, even though there's still 1 round left. Now, moving to midweek league games and mostly championship, right? English Championship is the one that had mid games this week. One of them is Nottingham Forest. Ethan Horvath and Alex Maiton stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes midweek. Dwayne Holmes didn't play for Huddersfield as he's still recovering from an ankle injury. And then the other championship I want to talk about here is Anthony Robinson and Tim Ream. And yes, they did play. On Wednesday, Robinson and Ream started and went the full 90 minutes for Fulham during their 0-0 draw with Derby County in the English Championship. Alright, now Alan Sonora from Independiente, they did defeat Boca Juniors this midweek 1-0, but Alan Sonora is injured, recovering from a muscle injury and wasn't available. Now, does this affect his status for the December camp? Will Greg call him up? I don't even know if Greg will call him up. Regardless, he's recovering from an injury, so that could affect the possible call-up if it ever happens. Alright, and before we go, one quick update. Kyle Duncan from the New York Red Bulls will head to Ostende in the Belgium League. They're the 13th place team in the Belgium League, and it's a free transfer. We'll see how Kyle does there. We'll see. The right back from the New York Red Bulls showed some promise this season, but we're very deep in the right back position. So in regards to the U.S. men's national team, I don't see this impacting much his position on the depth chart for now. All right, everyone. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I also hope you're all going to be watching Palmeiras and Flamengo this Saturday, the Libertadores final. Hopefully my Palmeiras wins the Libertadores just like they did last season. I know Dustin will be cheering for Palmeiras. All right, everyone, hit the like button before you go. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.